have an Aussie Player of the Month, a top 3 goalkeeper, Arsenal smashing Chelsea, and so much more to cover this week. My name's Josh. If you guys are new here, hi. Welcome to the Talkin' Tillies podcast. We make a habit of jumping on a little chat together every week and talking all things Aussie football, which is a cool little vibe. And if you're fresh to it, welcome along. It has been a pleasure hosting you guys so far. As always, I have Michelle and Cody here with me this week. Guys, how are we? Michelle, how have you been this week since Sydney just scraped by against Newcastle since the last time I saw you?
I wouldn't say just scraped by. I think they pretty much had the game covered. Thank you very much. Just need to find the scoring boots. But otherwise, I'm Gucci.
Gucci, Cody. I was going to say something funny, but nothing came to my head. So
that's just me, I guess. I'm very plain, boring, and unfunny, I guess.
My tactical brain that's not too tactical. Let's go. Let's start at the top. Kyra Cooney-Cross, go to your Arsenal, Michelle, taking out Player of the Month, which I think very well deserved. She had an absolute blinder in nearly every single league game. Didn't get picked to start. Actually, I don't even think she got minutes against Chelsea this week, but very, very strong. Very, very, there you go. Very, very strong performance from someone that we didn't think was going to get many minutes in an Arsenal shirt this year. As an Arsenal fan, how does that make you feel? Not only to see her come in, get minutes, but now be one of those faces that's leading this team towards glory.
Yeah, look, as a Sydney FC fan, there's context to this, okay? As a Sydney FC fan, I really didn't like Kyra for a very long time, okay? And people need to understand that there's reasons behind it. And if you don't know what the reasons are, just watch Sydney FC's grand finals against Melbourne Victory. So anyway, so I didn't like Kyra for a long time. And I think because of that one grand final, she had a really good tournament or like a good game there. So I was like, this girl's nothing, like overrated. But anyways, she did continue to play well, and obviously she went overseas and then landed a spot in the Arsenal squad, obviously after the World Cup campaign and everything. But she's really proven to be a really great midfielder, someone who could go on and be one of the greatest. And yeah, so I think, it's a long time coming for me to get over this Kyra hate bandwagon that I seem to be the only person on. No, she's a great midfielder, and it's great to see her shining in an Arsenal shirt, and yeah, very well deserved.
100%. Cody, do you reckon she's justified the price tag that Arsenal paid for her? I think she's proven why Arsenal didn't wait to January if she's Player of the Month in November. Let's just say that much as well.
Look, when you put it in that context, I guess like I was going into the season thinking they'd probably give her a year, let her assimilate into the side, and then maybe next season we see her be a real starting player. And I wouldn't say she's 100% a nailed-on starter yet, purely because of the depth Arsenal have in their midfield. But if it was a long-term thing and they weren't planning to really integrate her now, why would they drop? I think it was, 300,000 or something they paid? I can't remember the price off the top of my head, but it was a lot of money. And if you're going to pay that now when she's literally going to be free 4 months later, there must be a plan in there to actually start using her quite early. It may have taken a bit longer than, obviously, immediately into the start of the season, but she took like a duck to water the moment she was really getting involved in starting matches. So it's only a positive, really. I don't know if I'd say she's justified the price tag yet. You're talking, there's a lot of money. I think you'd need to see Arsenal go and win some trophies before you say, okay, yep, that's that price tag paid back. But what you're seeing is the building blocks of someone that can make a big impact on the side and eventually justify that price tag, I guess. But probably a little bit early now to be saying that.
560,000 Australian dollars they paid for her.
Oh, I was thinking euros, which makes sense then.
Yeah. 300,000 pound was the fee. Let's stay in Europe. We're here. We might as well stay here. Big win over Chelsea this week for Arsenal, and not only big but dominant as well. The first 20 minutes, give or take, bang, bang, goal. It looked like it was going to be a brilliant game between two title contenders. And then Arsenal just went, poof, and the floodgates opened, and Chelsea just absolutely crumbled. Emma Hayes did not look happy at all, which was so good to see. I found myself cheering a little too much. But I think this is that stamping point. Arsenal stumbled through the start of the season, obviously missing out on Europe and having a couple of stumbling starts in the league, but now look like they're kind of to knock off Chelsea and still be sitting pretty near that top of the table. It's closed that gap that they had at the top there as well, which is really good, which they needed to do. Now they're not waiting on anybody else to do it for them. They've done it themselves. Is this Arsenal going forward from here and looking towards the end of the year going, cool, we've got a shot?
I think it's hard to say, obviously. Like, I don't think we're like even at the midway point yet of the season. So for me, everything still feels really early. Like it's only been nine games have been played.
Yeah.
So we're still so early on in the season. And Chelsea is known for kind of coming back. Sam mentioned it in her post-match interview as well. She said that, we're Chelsea, this is what we do. We bounce back. And I have no doubt that they will, but like realistically this game, Jonas, who I, talk so much crap about, he got the tactics right. He got it all right. Sam Kerr was basically non-existent on that field, like pretty much did nothing. And not without trying, like she obviously was, running around and trying to get places, but Lotte Wibben-Moy was able to just, stay on her and keep her in her pocket, which was great to see. And yeah, I think overall Arsenal had a much better game. They were so, like, when you look at the stats, everything is so even, same amount of shots. Arsenal had 5 shots on target. Chelsea had 6. Possession was 52% for Chelsea, 48% for Arsenal. Like everything was pretty much as equal as it could get, but I don't think it really reflects the game. Farrah Williams was saying this earlier as well. Like, the stats don't really dictate how the game actually went, because when you're watching it live and when you're watching it on TV, or maybe if you're at the game, it didn't seem like Arsenal was too stressed, and it didn't seem like Chelsea was ever really going to get into the game. And, when Emma Hayes says that the positive part of this game is that it's only a 20-minute drive home, I mean, I think that says it all, really. But I was a bit disappointing to not see Kyra on the field. I think Steph Catley had a great game. I think defensively she looked absolutely rock solid. Caitlin Ford, I think, a bit quiet, but, trying to get the ball going, but she was marked pretty well. Yeah. Do we want to talk about the Lauren James questionable card?
Questionable. It should have been red.
So I've got 2 friends who are referees.
Yeah.
And one says yellow, one says red. And their reasoning varies. So it's basically, if it's, reckless, is it intentional? All this sort of stuff, the speed of it. And, a friend who was saying, maybe because it was so slow, she really should have gotten a red because she had the time to stop and to think. And obviously it was after the whistle as well. So, yeah. This also comes down to like, her Nigeria, sort of the Nigeria
Exactly,
game.
Yeah. We saw this during the World Cup as well. So like it's definitely not like it's a one-off occurrence. It's nearly the exact same thing.
I'll say this.
In the World Cup.
I'll say this. If she continues with this sort of behavior, then that's when I would start, as a I'm not a referee, but like I would think like referees would start being like, okay, like this is now the second time that she's exhibited this behavior. If she does it again, like there's going to be some serious consequences.
Yeah. And I think it also comes down to the fact no VAR
Yeah.
in the WSL as well. Probably gets overturned quite quickly if there is VAR. We're going with the on-field decision of what the 3 officials saw or 4 officials saw in that moment. So any input on that? Cody, did you catch a glimpse of it?
I saw it. I didn't see it live. I saw the replay of it. Unfortunately, I was on another recording while the game was on. That went very, very late. I had to miss it. No, you guys have heard that story already, but 1 o'clock isn't the best time of the morning to be recording a podcast. No, look, I caught a glimpse of it. I actually didn't realize there was no VAR in the WSL. Shoot me. That's just, I still can't. I'm not a fan of VAR, but it still shocks me when top leagues around the world don't have it. I'll say that much. But yeah, it makes sense why this wasn't given a red card. Then you look at it a few times, you can see, like, watching it in real time, you can maybe sit there and go, okay, is it something that she didn't see? Was she looking? I think she did have a head up, so maybe was she not looking intently at the player to try and injure them? But the more you watch it, the more she kind of, when she's putting her leg down, it's almost like she's looking away on purpose, like, I'm going to get away with this.
Yeah.
In that regard, probably should be a red. I can see, Michelle, why your friend might say yellow. There's a slight argument there, and I guess if you're a ref on maybe the more conservative side, you're going to hold yourself back and not want to, if you're the type of ref that doesn't want to send players off, maybe you'll look for a reason not to. But it is kind of hard if you watch it over and over again to say, oh, that probably should be a red, or it's hard to argue that point, I mean.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out during the week, I think, if the the FA look at it at all and go, hey.
If they do an investigation.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that, lots of people online are arguing like, oh, but Katie McCabe does this sort of stuff week in, week out, and everyone laughs about it. Katie McCabe doesn't intentionally go out and stomp on people or step on people.
She just makes shitty
after
tackles.
the whistle. After the whistle. Yeah. And I think the key point is that Katie McCabe, yes, she is, a bit of a bully on the field, and there's no denying it. And sometimes she puts in really bad tackles. But the thing is that a lot of the time she's doing it while the game is in play, and she will cop the yellow card, and we see this a lot where, players are a bit grubby. Katie McCabe is a grub, there's no denying that. But she's not intentionally going out and actively stepping on people or, making fouls after the whistle's blown. The only time that I can remember that she did was when she was stepping up for a throw-in and Chloe Kelly wouldn't get out of the way, and so she bumps the ball on Chloe Kelly's head, which was funny. And Chloe Kelly laughed about it after Katie McCabe was given a yellow card, so in those moments, it's maybe not the most serious offense, but Leah Volti, who's been known to have some injuries and then getting stepped on, like it seems like the situation's a bit more intensified because of that.
Yeah. Go, Cody.
I was just going to say, there's a difference between Brexit challenge and stepping on someone's leg when you can do some damage to it. Put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. When she's in a prone position with no way of kind of moving, 100%. Let's talk about a team other than Arsenal. Hey, guys, because we are now a British podcast. Congratulations. We are still staying in the UK, though, to start things off. This is a bit different from the regular run of form that we go. Let's go to Man City. Now, I don't know if there's any news about Alana Kennedy, but it looks like Man City's coach took a book out of Tony's use of substitutions, only made one substitution. That was bringing Alana Kennedy off for another defender at halftime. So I don't know if there's any news around AK. I haven't been able to find anything in my research today.
I just think it's purely that she's coming to Australia for the open air thing.
Yep. Okay. There we go. Nice and easy. City claw back after Aston Villa went up early. Villa continue to struggle to pull points, but Lauren Hemp, Chloe Kelly, Alex Greenwood hooking up for 2 goals there. Man City finding a way to continuously get points. I think Charlie Rule came on late for Brighton in their game against Leicester this week as a 2-2 draw. Courtney Nevin also started on the bench this week, guys, for Leicester. So things changing over there, which is after the run of form, could be probably conditioning as well after coming back from Australia. But actually, Charlie Rule started. There you go. So good start there. Still no Hawksby on the bench, so
Yeah, that's
concerning because she went a couple of
concerning.
games in the squad and on the bench, and now it's 3 weeks in a row without it. So that'll be something for us to bookmark and keep an eye on. No news as to anything there from us. I believe Cody's wishes are coming true in Liverpool, though. From my memory, I believe we did get a start and goal. Cody's got a big smile on his face, so I'm going to say it was
Michael's
definitely
been playing, and Liverpool are slowly rising up the ladder as well. So I'm not saying the two are connected, but make of that what you will.
Goals aren't going in the back of the net, let's say that much. Liverpool draw 1-1 with Bristol this week, which is an interesting drop of points there because Bristol aren't doing too well themselves. So important point for Bristol because West Ham, on the other side of the ball, do keep dropping points. Macca is still out with the knock that she sustained before the international break, I believe. From the looks of things, she is back in training, though, so it probably isn't too long. But she's herself... is she on the way to Australia as well for that open air thing? Yep, there we go.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, plenty of things going around. Everton end up picking up the points. Claire Wheeler starts and plays 90. So holding her spot in that Everton team, which is what we want to see because that's where we thought she would start the season and didn't. Looks like it's worked her way back into the squad. Cody did mention our Aussie at Tottenham. No minutes.
No minutes, but Millie Boughton, I think it was the first time on a bench in a WSL game. So one to keep an eye on. Not sure how long it'll be until she physically gets on the field. She is still only 17, but that 17 years old to be making the bench of a WSL game as a foreigner, still pretty special.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they give her minutes in the North London Derby and the cup tie this week against Arsenal.
What a story that'd be.
That'd be...
keep up would be all over that, won't it?
100%, I think. Tottenham, however, do lose quite convincingly to a very strong Man United team, 4-0. That wraps up all our Aussies in action in the WSL. For those playing along at home, we are an Australian podcast, so we will actually jump back to Australia and talk all things that have happened in the A-League this week for match day. What are we on? 7? 6? Something?
7.
7, yeah. My site's not loading. There it is. Perfect.
5 if you're Sydney FC.
Hey, yo. All right. So we start in...
Starting Rudy Hill, I believe.
We start in Rudy Hill. And Cody couldn't have said that more excitingly. As an Adelaide fan, Cody, how good is it to see your local club win 3-0 against Central Coast at home?
Bloody hell, you've really stitched me up there, haven't you? No,
look.
I got to watch the game and I had an enjoyable experience at the game. Got to speak to Robbie Hooker and Kusharu after the game as well. So, you know what? For me, it was a good night out. Got to catch up with a couple of people as well. So, you know what? I enjoyed myself. And frankly, probably some of the best football I've seen from the Wanderers in God knows how long. I've said that a few times already on record, but I don't think you can... Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, mainly due to the nature of the league and how topsy-turvy it is, I'm not going to say it's this big thing in Wanderers are now back and the club's in the right direction or anything like that. I wouldn't go that far, but there is signs of good football can be played at the club. Sophie Harding is in career best form. There's a lot of other players around the side that's really starting to click as well. And considering they did bring in a couple of internationals, they don't seem very reliant on them. I can't even remember the keeper's name they brought in, but Sham Karmas has been able to hold her spot ahead of her. Morris still on the bench or coming off the bench, if anything. The ones that are really doing the damage for him are their Aussies. You've got Sophie Harding playing well. Kusharu, someone that's really impressed me. Talia Yunus, I personally thought she had a fantastic first half, or at least while she was on the field. Even Danica Matos is probably impressing me a lot more than what I've seen of her in recent years. But Amy Harrison... second game at centre-back, I thought it was her first. I didn't realise she was playing centre-back against Western United because the lineup they put out had her as a midfielder. But she looks decent there too.
Interesting. Kushla is the one that's standing out for me for WSW. I did watch that game on the weekend, and every 5 seconds her name was said on the ball in and around things. So good to see, especially after the way they started the season. It looks like they've kind of found their footing after probably one of the roughest starts with losing a coach and then having to try and find your feet heading into a season, I think.
Well, to be fair, they did let the coach go, so it is their own doing.
Yes. Self-inflicted. Perfect. Adelaide, Western United. It looks like it was a Taranto absolutely mauling of Adelaide. Both the Twins mashing up for 2 goals. A lot of cards this week. It's been 7 or 8, I think, across.
It was not the most interesting game.
No.
It was a pretty average affair. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was pretty even, and then when West United got a goal at the end of the first half, so they go 1-0 up. Adelaide would argue some questionable refereeing decisions that led to, I believe, that final goal, that third goal, or it might have been. There was a decision that went against them for one of the goals that they were really frustrated with. So, but I don't know. This game was okay. You would think it'd be better with 3-1, but it was okay.
That's pretty much what we've been saying about Adelaide all year, though, is that take out that first game where it was the 4-4 draw, everything else has just been kind of mid throughout this. I think that's the first time I've ever used that word in conversation as well. So.
It was also Kat Smith's first game with West United. So obviously a very good start for her to get, the 3 points on the road. I guess there's a lot of work to be done from her end. So It'll be interesting to see how they go in their next game.
Yeah, 100%. Anything to add here, Codes?
I was actually going to mention the Cat Smith part, but I'm glad you beat me to it, Michelle. But Chelsea Dorber back at Adelaide, back on the score sheet as well. I think that's probably something to take note of. When she was at her best at Adelaide, I genuinely thought that she could push for a Matilda's debut. Unless I am severely forgetting something important, I don't believe she actually got that opportunity. But if she's able to find her feet again, she did semi-decent from what I can remember in Sweden. I know she was a bit in and out of the squad while she was there too, but if she can really find her feet at Adelaide, get some goals again, considering, our striking options can be a bit wayward at times. We very rarely have more than 1 or 2 strikers that are actually in form at a certain time. You never know, she could work her way back into that conversation.
Interesting bookmark for the future, Cody. Big result. Perth knocking off City. Perth continue to just get points here, guys, and they're looking good. Talking point. First hat trick for Perth Glory since Sam Kerr. In the Women's A-League, which is really cool. That's interesting. Little thing. So congratulations.
I think it speaks to how bad Perth have been at some stages since Sam Kerr left. I'm pretty sure it was the season after she left. They came last, and I think they picked up 1 point that whole season, or it might have been 2 seasons after. I know there was one season they went really.
No, that was Melbourne City. Melbourne City came dead last after everyone left.
I'll have to double check that, but
because I remember Melbourne City getting the wooden spoon after they were Invincible. And I was like, that's hilarious.
I do remember
there was great.
I do remember there was one season where Perth came last at 1 point. I don't remember when exactly it was. I think it was Alex Aparkis' first season, but full credit to him where they've stuck with him. They've let him build a side that is probably a bit more to his liking. Obviously, losing someone like Sam Kerr, no one's going to be able to bounce back from that and just go, oh yeah, it's going to be seasons ago. It's taken him a few years to get back to this point, but even on paper, they've got a very, very, let's say, decent side. But one thing that Perth do really well that I think they do deserve a lot of credit for, and something that I personally admire from them, they get a lot of their business done a lot earlier than a lot of other A-League clubs, maybe even all A-League clubs. They've usually got at least a squad of 16, 17 announced by June. And considering the season ends in April, early May, they're doing pretty well to do that. A lot of clubs usually their transfer activity until, let's say, August, probably at the earliest for some clubs. I was speaking with Fiona Warts on Monday, and she even said her conversations with Sydney FC didn't start until basically the week before, even the week of pre-season when it started. So Perth are reaping the rewards of kind of their, I don't know how to say it in a way that actually sounds cohesive, but they get their business done early, they make sure they got a squad built, and for the most part, they usually have a squad that can remain consistent over a few years as well, maybe with a few additions here or there, but they're reaping the rewards of getting their business done early. I guess it's probably the best way I can say it.
Yeah, 100%. Top of the table clash here too, so another important one in terms of...
They also stopped Melbourne City from going invincible with that loss, so it's a positive.
Yeah.
But also I think what's really important is Melbourne City were leading 1-0.
At home.
At home, and for Perth to then turn that around, I think shows a lot. And throughout the whole game, they were always pushing, and they always looked like they were going to keep getting more goals. So, no, Alex has been doing really well with that Perth squad the last couple of years. He's obviously been building something really positive there. So, like Cody said, they're obviously reaping the rewards, so it's good stuff.
Melbourne go away to Wellington and do something not a lot of teams have been able to do over there and get a point, at least. I think they joined Melbourne City, and I don't think anyone else has gotten points once they've made the trip across the ditch. So, interesting little thing there. Good for them to get some points across, and it kind of is shoring up that mid-table battle. We're looking, again, right through down to 10th. There's between 4th and 10th right now, there's 4 points in the table. So this season is going to be very, very interesting to watch. But Victory getting on the score sheet early, opening things up. Wellington coming back, getting the lead. Everything was done in the first half, and then it just kind of petered out from there. But all in all, looks like a very decent game. Did you watch it, Cody? We were at the Sydney game, so we didn't get a chance to. So
I was heading to the Wanderers Victory men's match, so I only caught a little bit of it. But one person that I think that I've even heard a lot of plaudits from after the game, Beatty Goat, someone, I believe she did make a Matilda's debut at one stage, qualified doctor as well. I don't know exactly what a specialization is or is working towards it at the very least, but she's someone probably to keep an eye on as well if you're talking about potential Matildas coming from the early women's. Obviously, it's a tough nut to crack considering the state of the Matilda squad at the moment, but definitely someone to keep an eye on in that regard. Someone that's been in the setup before. If she's able to keep a strong level of form, that maybe not necessarily a Matilda's call up, but even an overseas move could beckon as well.
Yeah, 100%. Something we haven't said a lot this season, Canberra getting points. Let's go. Canberra locked down the nation's capital against Brisbane with a convincing 5-1 win. We had 2 hat-tricks this round. How crazy. Look at us go. Milivojevic getting a hat-trick, and then I believe she scored the 3rd goal and got injured. Is that correct?
Can't remember off the top of my head. I know she did come off. I think it was an injury. I just can't remember if it was major.
There's, I believe scans are happening.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me happy. Milivojevic hat-trick makes me happy. That doesn't.
Yeah. So watch this space. I don't know if anything else has been announced about it, but I did hear that there were scans as well. So good for Canberra on the paper, but for the future, not looking good. So hopefully it's nothing too serious and it's just maybe a week or 2 with a pull or a strain or something like that. But watch this space. Keep an eye on Canberra's socials for any updates from there. Last game of the week, the game that saw me turn into a Sydney Ultra for a half. You're welcome.
Did you actually? Like, were you in the Cove? Like,
I was in the Cove. I did sing one song because it was the only one that I picked up.
You cannot call it the Cove when it's like me and Adrian. There's two people. It's not the Cove.
Hey, you had the other guy clapping next to you as well.
Yeah, true.
Did Johnny go for it?
Nah.
Nah, spewing.
So, Sydney make the trip up let's call it the F1 because the M whatever it is doesn't sound cool.
It's the M1.
It's the F3, mate. It's up the F3. Anyway, that's a long time ago for any of you youngsters that don't know what the F3 is. Courtney Vine with a late winner. As an impact sub, you could say it, as Sydney fight their way to a victory, although they dominated the game pretty much the whole time. There was moments of brilliance on both sides. I think this game is a win for both the keepers because there were some incredible saves in both the goals, much to Michelle's absolute horror and anger. My left ear's just recovered from her screaming, just put it in about 40 million times.
Just score a goal.
I can't do this anymore. But good to see Vine, one, back on the pitch and in the squad, but two, scoring goals as well. Was the 2-hour trip worth it, Michelle?
Yes, because we came away with 3 points. Of the 3 games I've been able to watch live, they've won 2. So that's not a bad record if you ask me. But yeah, no, it was great. Great day out. Could have been better without the, how do I say this nicely? The stampede of children at the end of the game who just ran towards Courtney Vine before the girls had a chance to go back into the change room. That was a little bit scary, but overall, great game. Great stuff from Newcastle. You know, they didn't make it easy. Traveling away to Newcastle, I don't know what it is, but Sydney always struggles. Like, we always have issues going there, and it's never an easy game. I was saying to Adrian, I was like, oh man, I don't feel confident. I don't think we're going to win this game.
You said that to me as soon as I walked in. You're like, you guys have got this.
Oh, did I say it to you as well?
Did.
Yeah, I was just like not confident. I was like, I don't think we're going to win this game.
But beautiful weather, nice sea breeze blowing through the stadium. Number 2 sports ground looks good. I'll tell you that much. That was it was a good vibe in and around the stadium. Yeah, I'm the same. The fan bull rush at the end was a bit intense to watch from the stands. It's
a really good idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Those sorts of like family and kids on the field, like I have no issues with that. The issue I had was that the players, there was no security for one. Normally when they do it at like the main stadiums where there's like security everywhere, but there was no security. I don't think I saw a single security guard at that game.
Yeah.
Except for like at the ticket, like when you show your ticket. I think that was it. Otherwise, there was no security. And then, yeah, to have those kids run onto the field, it's lucky that it's just kids and, like, they're harmless because obviously they're fans. They're just excited. But, like, bruh, like, imagine how bad that could have been.
Yeah. It was a bit intense.
A little child running with a knife.
Let's not put that in.
Imagine one of them had a flare with them.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Scenes. This little 6-year-old running with a flare.
Oh, not me dropping a flare on the ground at the next game. Not me.
Do it next to a child and put it on.
All right, let's jump to Spain, guys. That wraps up, for anyone playing along at home, that does wrap up the A-League this week. Perth Glory sit on top. City, Wellington victory round out the 4 with Western United and Sydney currently sitting in the final 2 final spots. Ugh. Am I American? Adelaide sitting pretty at the bottom of the table. Canberra sitting in 11th. The Jets not sitting at the bottom. I would just like to put that out to you guys. Thank you. Moving to Spain, La Liga. I think the biggest result here, besides Barcelona winning 5-0, we're kind of expecting that at this point. Sevilla defeating Real Madrid 3-1 away from home as well. Very, very interesting. Hey, Razzo plays for 79 and gets subbed off. Has a 6.1 rating, according to what I am looking at. Didn't look like a great game across the board because there was no one above a 6.2. So don't know if my ratings are correct or not. But 3-1, these are not good for Real Madrid after they got on a string of kind of weird results recently, which is not what you want to see out of a team that's kind of trying to challenge arguably the best team in the world in their league. But, yeah, not great for Real Madrid. I'm guessing none of us watched this, so we don't really have much input into what this game looked like. Do we have any other Aussies in Spain?
There's Anna Margraf at Huelva. She played in their 2-1 loss to Real Sociedad, came off the bench. Let me just pull up the minutes, sorry, because it's a little bit interesting what happened.
At where?
Huelva. I know I've butchered the pronunciation. Forgive me, please.
Wrong.
Go on, Michelle. Give us the pronunciation.
Huelva.
That's what I said.
No, you said
You
Huelva.
said Huelva with a H.
You don't say
There's no H.
Whip.
Huelva. There we go.
There you go.
She came, either way, Margraf came on in the 59th minute. She's still in training, so I don't believe there was an injury involved, but she came back off in the 86th. So
Interesting.
So she was subbed on and subbed off, and I think it might have been tactical. So
Interesting.
not the best sign, and they are now coming last.
Yay to Huelva. Let's jump to La France. That was bad French for anyone playing at home. I don't speak any languages. Lyon destroyed Lille 5-0. I don't know why I went looking for a goal from Ellie Carpenter just then. That would have been great, but I don't know why I expected it. For some reason, I was disappointed. Actually, she didn't play. On the bench, no minutes. Interesting. Okay. Is she still coming back for? No, she played for the Matildas. She's not just coming back.
That's probably the reason why she played a game in Canada on the Wednesday.
Yeah, true.
And Lyon did have the Saturday game, so not a lot of turnaround there.
That answers that then, doesn't it? How dare I not know? Interesting. PSG dropped points to Le Havre. 1-1 draw.
They were lucky to grab a point as well.
Did you watch it, Cody?
I didn't watch it, but I had the notifications coming through, and I saw they scored the 95th minute to equalise, which, for a club of PSG standards, probably not the best.
Not great. Sarah Hunter coming back from international duty. Did she get anything at Paris? Nothing. Did she even make a squad? No. That's all right. She probably wasn't back yet. We'll just put that up to international duty. 90 plus 5. Oof, not interesting.
It's close call.
They only made 2 subs as well, so they must have felt somewhat in control. Interesting results all the way around. This week, Claire Hunt plays the full 90 in that game as well. Perfect. Let's have a chat about some other things that have happened this week. Michelle, I know you've got kind of a mixed emotional bag about this one. Mackenzie Arnold, top 3 goalkeeper in the world.
Am I allowed to say I love it?
I know you're going to say. That's why I went to
You're
Michelle
allowed
first.
to love it. You can also be wrong.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Obviously with Mary Earps and Catalina Cole, I think it was.
Yes.
I definitely I wouldn't say on club performances.
It's got a very clear World Cup bias.
Yeah.
It's probably very, very obvious about that fact.
How do you think? Who was Sweden's goalkeeper? How do you think she feels?
Zeshida
about
Musovic?
Yeah,
Yeah, Musovic.
Look,
the best goalkeeper in the world. And,
to be fair, look, she's in and out of the squad at Chelsea, it would have looked really, really bad if she got on it. I know she had that one good game against the USA, but even some other moments during the tournament, she probably wasn't overly great either. Look, this is probably going to be biased. In my opinion, Mackenzie Arnold was probably the best keeper at the World Cup. I know Mary Earps exists. I'd probably still put, just in that tournament alone, Arnold a little bit ahead of her. But has she had the best season at club level? I wouldn't say so. Look, she hasn't been bad by any means, but they're probably, if you're looking at it holistically throughout the season.
To be fair, it is a FIFA award. It's not a UEFA or it's a FIFA, so it's probably.
But they
based
do
on
technically eventually all fall under FIFA jurisdiction as well, so you do need to consider it. Otherwise, you'd give her the Golden Glove at the World Cup, although I think there's a certain way how that's calculated or anything like that. Don't think they just do the eye test or anything like that. But yeah, look, I like it. I like seeing Aussies nominated for awards. I don't know if it's justified. I don't know if it's deserved, but I will celebrate it as if it is.
I mean, realistically, how far are they looking into this, and what is it that they're looking into? Because, did Mackenzie Arnold have a good World Cup tournament? Yeah, sure. Do I think that part of the reason why she's nominated for this sort of stuff, and this is what I feel like happens a lot with women's football, is that because she's just being talked about a lot because she's a Matilda? How much of it is just the media as well talking these players up? Obviously, the Matildas had a really good World Cup, and they had the documentary come out, and everybody loves them, which is all well and good. There's no issues with that, but what about some of the other countries? Maybe countries that didn't qualify, countries like, I don't know, Chile.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Christian Endler, who, I don't know, plays for Lyon, arguably one of the best women's football clubs in the world, but whatever. But Catalina Cole doesn't even play at club level. She's on the bench. Sandra Panos plays for Barcelona.
She won a World Cup, Michelle.
So?
Stats
does it mean that she's the best?
Statistically, 630 minutes for Macca at the World Cup, 7 matches, 8 goals conceded, 4 clean sheets, and a yellow card as base stats. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but that's what it was.
It's got to be the eye.
She's not performing.
It's the eyes.
But she's not performing at club level.
No. We've had that discussion in the last 4 weeks.
She hasn't been playing.
Look, I don't know how much this season kind of plays into it. I think it is more about the 2022-23 season. But even then, you wouldn't put her
she's still not performing.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't even put her in top 3 in the WSL.
Yeah. I would break it down even further. How much of it is purely just the penalty shootout against France? Some of the best TV Australia's seen in. Are we forgetting Mackenzie Arnold against Nigeria? Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad on her end.
Mm-hmm. Cody, go back and watch. Go back and watch because there was some.
Look, I was very preoccupied during that game. I will admit.
What are you doing? She ran out of the box.
Yeah,
completely. Just ran out, and then everyone was like, "What are you doing? What? Where are you going, brother? The game is on." Go back and watch.
I need to double check. Look, you were with me that day. You know what I was doing. I was trying to.
I wasn't with you. I was in Brisbane.
I was in Brisbane as well.
Was the game in Brisbane? Oh, it was the Brisbane game. Yeah.
I was in all of them, except for the third place.
But I was not in Melbourne.
You were in Melbourne. I'm talking about Brisbane here.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless, go back and watch the game. It was.
I got to double check that. My memory is a bit hazy. I just remember walking out of that stadium a little bit deflated. Still had a great time. I will admit.
I had to interview players. Imagine interviewing.
You had to work. Yeah, I got to go back to bed.
I think it's fair to say that Macca probably won't win this, but a good nod to her for what she did during the World Cup. At the very least, I would, considering everything else that Mary's wrapped up in the last year, I would dare say that's probably going to go.
Mary should win.
Yeah. Other big news, something I feel like we are secret agents for FIFA or UEFA, because how many times in the last 4 weeks, guys, for anyone listening consistently, have we mentioned people need to look into ACLs? and what's happening in the women's game. And sure enough, UEFA today have introduced a new initiative or a study into ACL injuries in women's football, which is fantastic. Obviously, is going to take some time, so we're going to see, unfortunately, a lot more between now and the time that anything from the study actually gets put into place. But I feel like we're actually running the world, guys, and
yeah, it's definitely us and
Not anyone
no
else.
one else.
yeah, UEFA are like, fuck, these guys are onto shit. Maybe we should listen to them. Because to be fair, like we've been spot on about a few things before they've happened. Maybe we're the new Fabrizio Romano. Everyone's going to start coming to us soon. Fabrizio, if you're listening, you can come on.
Watch out.
We got you. But yeah, there is a whole thing around awareness and hopefully prevention of ACL injuries in the women's game. I haven't had a time to read a full thing about what's going on here, but it's about the prevention and evidence based on guidelines on topics ranging from injury prevention and common risk factors and optimal return to play strategies, which we've seen some of the biggest names in women's football over the last couple of years be held out of World Cups and other major tournaments because of this injury. We've seen a fair few after the World Cup and everything as well go down, which is good because this is one of those injuries that can have long-term effects in terms of rehabilitation and obviously level of how people can play when they return, depending on how well their rehab goes. So hopefully this has a pretty good desired effect and doesn't take 5 or 6 years to kind of collate, and they could pull on research from elsewhere, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, it's UEFA, so there's a good fair chance it won't take 5 or 6 years. It'll take a lot longer, unfortunately. But no, look, it's the first step. There's probably 2 ways you can look at this. The best time for them to have done it would have been maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Second best time is now. So you take what you can get, I guess. But hopefully the right people are involved. Hopefully it's not UEFA just kind of doing an internal thing. Hopefully they actually reach out to external doctors, experts, people that actually kind of know what they're talking about. Because I don't know if I 100% trust UEFA to do a proper in-house review of everything. And I'm glad they're actually kind of looking at that return to play aspect of it as well, because it's not just that the ACL injuries have seen an increased frequency in the women's game. You've also seen women footballers take a long time to return from these. I believe Ada Hegerberg was out for, it was like 20 months or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number, but I know she was out for a significant amount of time and a lot longer than a standard ACL injury. Look, you get some players that are a little bit fortunate, like Carpenter, who can come back at 9 months on the dot. But it's a tough thing to go through, and I think in the women's game, I've seen people out a lot longer than what you'd see, say, in the men's side of the game. So that's definitely an important aspect that they should be looking into as well. And it's the way sports science is moving forward. Look, I'm not a doctor, but from what I've seen, a lot of medical studies and a lot of what we know about the human body does come from studying male bodies. There's not a lot of evidence-based practice based in what a women's body and stuff that's tailored to a female body, in particular a female athlete's body. So going down this path, if they do it right, it's not just going to benefit women footballers, but it could benefit women athletes. It could just benefit women altogether. So yeah, it's great.
Let's go. All right. That brings us to the end of our regularly scheduled content this week, guys. We are going to quickly touch on everything that is going on this week that you're looking at. But just a little housekeeping thing for everything that's going on in the podcast world. You would have seen on our socials over the last couple of days, a brand new branding package has been rolled out. We're looking fresh and clean for 2024, and we are super excited for all the fresh content ideas that we are going to be bringing to your feeds. The three of us are working tirelessly behind the scenes in all the spare time that we do have to bring you guys closer to the Matildas and everything that we're trying to do off screen as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. The podcast is now live for anyone that does have a preference on your podcasting platform. We are now on Apple, YouTube, or Google, and Pocket Cast as well. So you guys can grab us there, which is pretty perfect. And we have some other things in the background coming as well that are going to take a little longer to release, but we are hoping to get TikTok up and running. Currently working on a few other things in terms of the internet space that I haven't even told the guys about yet because it is so far off. It's not funny. But yeah, super exciting times for Talking Tillies. And we are glad to have you guys along for the ride. Cody looks so excited. He looks like a little dog.
I'm just shocked. You're saying the stuff you haven't told us about. What is this?
You want to hear it? We're working on a website.
Oh.
There's some ideas that I've got to run past you guys in our chat just to figure out some content for it. But there is a website in the mix. When I have time to design it, it will be there. So plenty of things coming, and we can't wait to share it with you because our group chat has been absolutely going nuts the last couple of days. We have seemed to be hit with festive inspiration, I would like to call it. And all the ideas and things are coming. Now, we did have someone comment on one of our posts about last week's episode about the conversation we had around our 18s that we would take to the World Cup. Now, this is something we're going to have probably more discussion on next week, just because I didn't spring that on guys until right now. So
I was going to say, put me on the spot again.
No. Next week, what we're going to do, we're going to go through individually who we would take to the World Cup if it was starting, say, next month.
The Olympics, you mean?
The Olympics, thank you. Same thing. World. No, the Olympics. Who we would take in our squad of 18 to the Olympics. So that's something we're going to work on through the week. You'll see it pop up on our socials after the podcast is released as well. Then you can let us know who you would have taken over who we would have taken. We are going to think about it quite a lot in terms of current performances. We're not just picking on popularity. We're going to think about actually who deserves that spot in the squad and who can make the biggest impact either coming off the bench or starting in the 11. But I think that's everything that's kind of coming. So thank you for your input on socials. Again, if you like something, you want to hear something, you want to know something about the Matildas or Australians in the game, please let us know. We will do the research. That's what we're here for. We love talking about this stuff, and the more that you guys give us, the more you're going to get out of it, because then we're going to have some really cool conversations that you're going to love. Let's look at this week, folks. Melbourne City come up to the Central Coast for the Friday night game at 7 o'clock. That could be an interesting one with City's recent form. Hopefully, it could be very interesting. Central Coast at home. Still no mention of what's her name?
Kai Simon.
Thank you.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. I feel like we were right with maybe saying that was kind of a stunt signing to boost memberships, because she's doing a lot of stuff off the pitch and doesn't look like anything in a Central Coast uniform. So bit disappointing, but so be it. Canberra travelled to Melbourne on Saturday to play the Victory. Wellington make the trip over to South Australia to play Adelaide. Western United come up to God's Country in Newcastle to play at number 2 Sports Ground. Western Sydney, Cody's favourite team, is travelling to Brisbane. And Michelle is not joining her Girls in Sky Blue on the plane to Perth, I believe, unless you made a last-minute decision, Michelle.
Oh, I thought about it, but I don't have the money.
I just love the fact that it actually goes through your head, though. Like, oh, am I going to go to Perth? That's a big trip.
Okay.
Sneaky weekend away.
So I don't work Sundays or Mondays. And the original plan was when I would come back from Europe, I was going to do this Perth away trip because I haven't done Perth away yet. I did it for the grand final for the men years ago. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it for this one. Obviously, I didn't do it. So
cool.
There's still time.
Good to know. All right. Let's go to England. The land of the king, the home of Yorkshire puddings and Christmas markets right now. Wish I was there. I am not. Wait, is there a double North London derby this week?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So Arsenal Tottenham go away to Arsenal in the League Cup during the week, and then Arsenal go away to Tottenham in the league during the week. So that is a good time to be an Arsenal fan. Starts a chant that we're definitely not allowed to put on record, but that's okay.
Don't start that. I wouldn't be putting that out there to the universe. If Tottenham are able to win one or both of those games, it'd be a good time to be a Tottenham fan too.
It probably would, but it's not a good time to be a Tottenham fan right now. I work with a Tottenham fan, and it's just made me kind of like have a chip on my shoulder. Because, United's not doing too well. Luckily, our girls are doing well. Men, not so much. Speaking of, Liverpool make the quick trip across to United this week to play at Lee Sports Village. Man City trip to... Is that actually going ahead? Oh, no, this is Australian time. So I was like, why is it playing at midnight? Man City go to Everton. Chelsea...
Come on, dude.
Oh, look. Guys, I'm still jet lagged. Leave me alone. Chelsea make the trip to Bristol City. West Ham play Leicester. Brighton finish out the round in Aston Villa. Over in France and Spain, what do we have going on in Spain? Where are they? Hello? Can't see the logo. Real Madrid play Levante. And Huelva play Levante.
Huelva plays Levante as well as Real Madrid. What is it, like a three-way football game?
Yeah, there's two Levante teams. Levante Fem, which is the Levante we know from the men's team, and Levante Las Planas.
Okay, well, you got to make the difference.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize I said the same thing twice until just then, did I?
I didn't realize for a sec too.
I didn't realize there was two Levante teams. Okay,
it's like a three-way football pitch, and you got to play against like the two teams at the same time. Wouldn't it be wild?
That actually would be super interesting to watch. Or like two pitches
Chaos.
that intercross, and it's two different games. But
I swear to God, there's a Finnish TV show that's actually done this before, like tested it.
No,
out.
I was thinking like a three, so it's like
that. I'll send you guys a video. Like this, there's actually fucking hilarious.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think what would be more interesting is like two 11v11s like playing across each other, but like you can take points off the other team by scoring on the other game.
No, that's too much.
Yeah,
I'll design it. Lyon play US Fleury this week. PSG and Paris match up this week. So that's going to be an easy one for us to follow along with where the Aussies are in the world. Anything else to add this week on the podcast, guys? Anything you want to say, share?
We've got Champions League coming up too as well.
We do have Champions League.
I know
Is that this week?
Paris and Real Madrid are playing against each other.
Let's have a look at that. Is that this week or next week?
I believe it's this week.
Wouldn't know.
Dun, 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 dun,
Useless.
dun, dun.
Useless Jonas.
Mate, he's going to win you the league. Shut up.
I want to win Champions League.
Yeah, well, that's next year. You got to knock Chelsea off the perch first before you can take the trophy.
We have more trophies than Chelsea do.
Yeah, but not recently. As in...
Yeah, they're newcomers to this thing. There's levels.
Levels.
There's levels, but they've won 3 or 4 titles in a row.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, of course.
They still haven't won in Europe. Arsenal's the only English women's team to have won in Europe.
And they say Arsenal's never won the Champions League.
Michelle did mention at the top of the podcast, Faye Bryson's podcast, and her little clip. Boots, Falls and Bras. If anyone wants a cool English side of the game, with
Farrah Williams?
Farrah Williams, sorry. I don't know where... Did I say Faye Bryson?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Sorry, Farrah. Farrah Williams, Boots, Balls and Bras. Go check that one out because they give some really cool insight into what's going on the pitch. Barcelona play Rosengard. Real Madrid play Paris this week, so potentially double Aussie. Is this? Yeah, this is the women's. Yep. Paris play Roma. Chelsea play BK Haken. So there's another one. And Lyon play SK Bran this week. So that's all happening Australian time, Thursday, Friday. And then the following week, it's double week. Oh, actually, we've got Champions League for the next 3 weeks. 4 weeks.
This weekend will be the last weekend of the WSL until late January.
There we go. So we've got a massive break.
There's a Christmas New Year's break, and the A-League will be off for just that Christmas break.
Just the 1 week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we play all the way through with Unite round on the other side of things. So a lot of football still in Christmas if you want to get behind the Europe game. But you guys know where to find everything. If you're struggling to find Champions League games, check out YouTube if you don't want to pay for a DAZN membership and get a VPN. Not that we're promoting illegal streams or anything like that, but it is what it is when it comes to watching your favorite team play, isn't that right? We will be back next week with our smiling faces, bringing you all the updates from around the world, as we always do. It has been a pleasure, folks, to see your lovely faces midweek once again. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of the Talking Tealies podcast. Bye.